Welcome to a new Harry's Garage, and today's car is the Ferrari California T you see behind me. This particular version is the Handling Speciale, just introduced a few months ago. And the reason I've got a Ferrari California in, because it's just one of those models that intrigues me. I was there at the launch in 2008 and Ferrari explaining what they were trying to achieve with this car. They had the F430 at the time, mid-engine sports car, and they thought they were missing out on a customer who, as they saw the Mercedes SL AMG sort of get more sporty, could they tap into that market, bring a new customer to the brand of Ferrari? Well, it all seemed very worthy of metal folding roof. It looked okay-ish. But when we actually got to drive the car, I can remember having a California on Evo Car of the Year 2008. We gave it a bit of a kicking, and rightly so. The suspension just didn't seem sorted. It was pitching around and just not a very happy car at all. Now, the odd thing was, while journalists were giving it a good old kick-in, customers were queuing up at the showroom, and this car sold really well and did exactly what Ferrari wanted and brought new people to the brand. So why is the California had this disconnect between what journalists think and what customers actually think about the model? That's why I've got one in, and that's why we're going to have a closer look at this car now. Okay, first thing that's changed with the California T is the styling, and in particular that grille. It's sort of got wider and looks much fresher, much more modern. I think it's one of those redesigns that's actually worked really well. Big improvement. Delicate along the side. It's just you have to compare side by side to see the differences really. But this has got a two-tone paint finish, which means it has that black roof. You obviously pay quite a lot of extra to have that feature. And a big change for the California T at the rear of the car. As you can see, the quad exhausts, they're conventional. Previously they were stacked, and I had a particular dislike the way the exhaust looked on the first version of California. They've also tidied up the lights. Those sort of slash red lights just above the exhaust, they're actually indicators things, because when you'll open the roof in a minute, but you can see the lights actually disappear with the boot. The boot does this two-hinge thing, which you'll see in a moment. Okay, I just want to show you under the bonnet on this car. If I can find a switch. There we go. Because Ferrari have worked miracles here to get this engine, this V8 twin-turbo engine, this far back in the chassis. I don't know if you can see there's a bar there that connects the front wheel, the struts, and this engine is plunged right back. Very impressive. V8, 3.9 litre, 560 horsepower in this configuration. It's wet sumped, and how they've done this is by putting this the 7-speed dual clutch transmission right at the back, a transaxle setup. Very clever, and that's real Ferrari magic. Also, actually, I'm just going to show you something else while we're here, and that is these vents, because like on the DB11 we had in the other day, this actually vents the front wheel arch. And I've been driving this car quite a lot for about a week now, and it's been horrible weather. And there isn't an ounce of mud anywhere. I don't know how they do it, because you can look through those vents and you can see the sort of the road underneath. But those two vent the front wheel arch, similar to the DB11. It seems to be, as you get these really high speeds, it's a high pressure point and they need to release air out of the wheel arches on these super quick cars. Also at the front you've got the air intakes here. There's a massive amount of packaging to get the radiator and the intakes, intercoolers, etc. all here. I think it's a great setup, that. Let's take the roof down. It's quite clever. Now Ferrari say this takes 14 seconds. I haven't actually timed it. Off it goes. Double flip. And there you go. Not sure if that was 14 seconds. One of the slight downsides with the roof like that, you can see it's quite a big mechanism. It will only actually do it when you're stationary, so it's not like the Porsche Turbo that you can do up to 34 miles an hour, etc. But I can understand why, because there's great bits of metal doing very clever things. Right, now let's have a look around the inside. This car is loaded with extras, basically carbon fibre bits all over it that cost a fortune. You've got that bridge there where the gear controls are. I do like how those buttons work actually, reverse, auto and launch, which I haven't bothered with because I think launch is something journos did but customers don't. Yes, carbon fibre everywhere, including, as you see, that cup holder there. The cover for that, incidentally, is £1,400 to have that in carbon. So that's the sort of cost of the extras here. I love the steering wheel because it has, we'll see in a moment, we've got change-up lights in the top of it. But again, that's a £4,500 option to have that. You can tell this is a Handling Speciale because in the centre of the car there, they actually put a badge to tell you that. You do get what Ferrari like to call rear seats. I don't think they are. They're beyond emergency. They're just torture devices, really. But at least you can get an extra bags, etc. in the cockpit. You have a little thing to hang your coat on here, which I've always found quite useful. There is Isofix back there. What is clever on that car, I need to actually open the boot to show this one. If I press a button here, oh, it's a great big of metal, that thing. There is actually a draft excluder for when you've got the roof open, which I'll take out. I've actually got it out for. That is the size of your boot, not very big. And the other thing to show you back here is the toolkit. Now I can see that not fetching a lot of money on eBay like Daytona toolkits do and things like that. That's a more modern version. What's clever are these two little things here. I just flick those and I'll go back to the inside. And then those pop down. I can just reach over there. There we go. And there you've got access to the boot so you can get long things in, like golf clubs or perhaps skis even. Okay, well, this is the draft excluder that hides in that bag. It's a little bit awkward, being two-piece there, that slots in there. Am I going to get that? I'm not going to be able to do that. I can just see that a bit. Slot it in that side. And then there's two pegs. There we go. There it goes. Right, let's take it outside, go for a drive. There we go. His first impressions when you get in this car is the very busy steering wheel. Before we actually move off, I'll start it up. Started on the button on the wheel. You can sort of, instantly a Ferrari sound. It might have gained turbochargers, but there is a Ferrari-esque sound immediately. I'm going to put the roof up, just so I'm not sure how drafty it's going to be with the camera. So I'm going to put the roof up just for the first part of the video. Up it goes. It would be nice to do this on the move. But it's pretty quick. And there we go, that's good. Okay, now, you immediately feel, well, I'm quite low in here. The wheel, as I say, is busy. The red line at 7.5. I can configure what I want on the left-hand side. I've got temperature gauges who are saying it's stone cold at the moment, so we're going to get some heat into it. But there is very definitely a Ferrari feel. For that guy who's stepped out of Mercedes SL, he's in a very different car. Anyway, I'm going to take you on some better roads and then you'll join me once the car's warmed up. Everything starts off in this auto mode and it does a very good job of it. So some of the things the Handling Speciale option adds are a grumpier exhaust that is a bit random when it does sound louder. But the big difference you'll notice immediately is the ride. It's seriously hard, this car, the ride quality. Spring rates have only gone up 16% and 19% front rear, but that's not the feeling I'm getting from here. The California was quite comfortable, but I can hear my voice sort of, it's GT3 hard suspension now in this car. Fortunately, Ferrari fit a very welcome button on the steering wheel, which looks like a damper, and press that and it comes up as bumpy road. Oh, it's just a relief when you press it, because it does do a very good job. I'm really surprised how hard the ride is in this car actually, so I'm not quite sure that Mercedes man is expecting that, but I suppose with the Handling Speciale you need to know what you're ticking, what you're getting when you tick that box. Right, let's try a better bit of road. Steering, another thing you notice as soon as you get into it is typical Ferrari steering. much sort of lighter than you expect, quick as well, proper quick. If you remember old TVRs of old, it's that sort of quick. And you're sitting quite far back, and yeah, I think again it must be a bit of a shock when you first drive a Ferrari and get this sort of feel of the steering. 10% quicker apparently than the previous rack in a California. And here we are, we're running along in 7th. It's pretty refined in here actually. There's one or two squeaks and rattles I know coming from the roof. Someone has optioned lever. I think if you do lever for the roof, there is just a chance of lever touching lever, and I can just sort of hear that going on, so I wouldn't do that. But yeah, a very civilised car. The switch on the steering wheel, I can choose between comfort and sport, and I've got it in sport at the moment, so yes, the ride isn't great. I can put it in comfort. I don't think it should say comfort really, I think it should just say normal, because yeah, sport is a pretty hardcore option. I can go all the way to the right and do DSC off, which obviously is traction control off, but I'm finding with the modern Ferrari, when you've got it in sport, they now have got this traction control to a fine art. And if you remember the 488 test, there's a little bit of looseness at the rear. It will allow you to go beyond the limit of adhesion, and then it will catch you. So I quite like their sport setting. And I had hoped to test this car in the most beautiful weather. Well, it hasn't been. I've had it a week, and it's been everything. We've had shocking rain and wind, and we haven't had snow yet, but it's forecast this afternoon. So this is an odd bright zone, and those sort of changeable conditions, I like it. And I have had just quick moments in it, but it's always held it back. So it's not a good option to turn the traction control on this car, and especially how the boost ramps up, as we'll see when we get on a bit more open roads. And one of the things you have to get used to with a modern Ferrari is this steering wheel, this really busy steering wheel. Everything's on here. It's this, what do they call it, the human machine interface they call the steering wheel, and they put everything, there's indicators, there's lights, there's wipers, etc. And now, having lived with it for a bit, I hated it to begin with, but I am coming round to the idea. Wipers is good. You can see this on the right hand side here, quick underneath, and I get that. If I hold it underneath, I get washers. That all works really well. Lights, I can flash quickly by using this left hand from behind. That works pretty well. Starter button, well, they've always had that there for a while. That's the final bit of the wipe. What else? The bumpy road button, I like that a lot, but it's the indicators. Now, coming up to a roundabout, I'm going to turn right here, and this is just the bit where it starts to fall down, because coming up the roundabout, just wheel straight ahead, that's all right. Indicator, I know where the right hand indicator is, so I can do that. And we'll follow this Renault into the roundabout. No, we won't, because of the car on it. And what you find, this is quite a big roundabout, so it's not the best one to show it on, but as you go round the roundabout, I feel like I'm taking my driving test all over again doing this, and I want to turn down there. Now suddenly I want to turn left, and that feels odd because I have to look at the wheel to see where the spoke is to then press the button. Yeah, I could have the handle around, but you don't generally do that as driving, so that is the downside of putting everything on the wheel. But I have to say, after a few weeks, I am getting used to it, so maybe it's not quite so bad as I used to say. Now, the auto function on this dual clutch transmission Ferrari now use in all their cars, wow, it's a game changer compared to the F1 automated manual of the past. But it doesn't quite work as a regular automatic. So if you've stepped out of your Mercedes automatic, or you're used to the sort of 8-speed automatic you find in so many cars now, ZF gearbox, it doesn't have the creep function. So if I come round here and I come off the throttle and I just sit there is no creeping forward. I will actually roll back, as you can see. So it's very smooth how it engages, and way better than before. But you've got to get used to that characteristic. It isn't your regular automatic. And I find in traffic, you just have to think, oh, hang on a minute, I'm not going to just creep forward, I have to use the accelerator. And on a hill like this, now I've got a car behind me, they'd be shocked, because, oh, I'll roll back. and it'll hold for a bit on the brakes, and then it will stop. So you have to press the brake, a bit like a manual, and it will have it has a function just to hold you. But after that, you're on your own. But there are plus sides. I like the way it always sets off in first, so it always has a good get up and go. It doesn't seem to get quite as confused as I was expecting. Oh, this ride though, this ride with the Handling Speciale, think carefully before you tick the option. Anyway, I don't want to drive this car in town, I want to drive it on the open road, so that's where we're going next. Now the big change with the California T was obviously the twin turbo engine and the amount of horsepower you gained. It's now 560 horsepower in this configuration, so up near enough 100 horsepower from before, just over actually 110, and the torque, that jumped 50%. We're now got 775 newton meters and 560 pound-foot of torque. We only get it in 7th in actual fact. Now the difference is enormous in performance. It's more than the figures say. There's a lovely hill up here. If I go up here, there's this rich seam of torque now that wasn't there before. This is a seriously quick car now. The difference is between old California and new California, this is a Ferrari you drive on the torque. Normally you used to have to buzz them and get that horsepower, stratospheric rev limit of 7,500, 8,000, touching 9, wasn't it, in 458? Not with this car. This car has proper grunt from 3,000 up, and it manages it. You only actually get the peak torque figure in 7th, which is peculiar really. It's 50% of the available torque in first. It really limits it via the boost gauge. Now there is a boost gauge in the centre of the dash that I just wanted to throw the press pack away when I saw what they called it. It's the Turbo Performance Engineer, they call the boost gauge. No, it's not. It's just a regular boost gauge. They talk about efficiencies and percent. No, it's just nonsense they were talking in the press pack. But it's fascinating how it does limit the torque in the early gears, and that's so you sort of still get that Ferrari character of having to rev the engine out. But the difference in performance, so the previous California, they boasted of an under 4 second 0 to 62 time. It's pretty marginal. This one, it just flies. And the other one got its performance by having much lower gearing. On this one, they say they've the taller gearing by around 15% because it's got this grunt. They say they've done it for the polar bears, as Mr. Clarkson might say, but it's a bit of both. It just doesn't need that low gearing anymore because of the 50% extra torque. We're really lucking out with the weather. It's not exactly a summer's day, but God, it's been awful recently. I think I ought to stop nancing around and put the roof down. Here we go. It's all ever so clever, I have to say. The weight distribution, I think it's 47 front, 53 rear. It does make me wonder what it is with the roof down, because all that weight's over the back, so you think actually it's even more rear biased. Right, it's one of my favourite roads ahead. It's okay. Actually, I'm going to leave this in auto. I don't like launch function, I just think it's a bit of a nonsense. But, right, here we go. Oh, I love that little pop. It's proper grunty, this car now. But it just fades at the top end, just the slightly different character, because the 488, that is just rampant, but it's actually, that engine in that configuration puts out 670 horsepower to 560 on here, so you can tell it does actually bleed off power at the top end. It does make you wonder what this engine's really capable of. But don't worry, you're never going to complain about the performance in the California T. That's proper quick. And dramatically different to the previous California, and I love those little pops you get is just on the down changes. That's all in auto mode, so you don't, you know, even better when you're using the paddles. It's pretty civilized, I have to say, with the roof down. Very little buffeting with this, yeah, draft excluder. Seats are comfy. Oh, it's quite addictive. But yeah, it's California compared to the previous generation is chalk and cheese. I don't like the ride quality, but with that bumpy button I'm sort of okay. But there isn't this nasty pitching going on, and actually with the roof down I am suspicious that it actually puts extra weight. I seem to have more traction today than I've been used to. Yes, it's been a bit wet, but it's very balanced, the handling today. Understeer really isn't an issue. You've got this fast steering, so it just feels sporting, which I suppose is what you want from this car. You ought to discuss the weight as well, this car, because it's quite hard getting a wet weight out of Ferrari, but it's around the 1750 kilo mark or thereabouts. That is about 100 kilos lighter, say, than a Mercedes SL. So Ferrari haven't done too bad. This is relatively lightweight for this sort of car, just heavy for a Ferrari. What else? I think the overriding factor, what I feel about this car, it's very Ferrari. So it's not quite as good at sort of slow speed manoeuvring as a regular convertible, but as a bonus you get that top end sparkle. You are in a driver's car, yeah, and you have serious performance on offer, and it feels Ferrari. At the beginning, my first few days with it, I was going to conclude this video by saying, whatever you do, don't take Handling Speciale packs. £5,500, you don't want it because the ride is too compromised. Think back to the DB11, that had a sports setting that was very usable. This one is compromised on these sort of roads, so with a bumpy button set, it's fine. I can live with it because it offers that much more body control at the top end. The other thing you get with the Handling Speciale pack is this exhaust, and it makes it sound like a Ferrari. I expect a Ferrari to sound like that. So reluctantly I will say yes, tick the Handling Speciale pack, because it's good and you're going to get your money back at company sale time anyway. Dear me, sorry, I'm just enjoying myself. Too much to talk. Yeah, carbon brakes, you need those with this sort of bolt. They're slightly dead to begin with, but they come on. Yeah. Sorry, yes, right, where are we? I think if I have one negative of this car is the price. Yes, it lists at 155,000, sounds pretty reasonable. This car, as tested today, £215,000. That's too much money. So go really careful on the options. Most of the money you're not going to get back. The £1,400 for the carbon cup holder cover, no, that's not worth £1,400. I would go with the sports wheels to get the gear change lights, because that's just ace, and only Ferrari do it as well as this. And I'll go for the handling pack. Well, that's about it. Forget the £1,800 titanium wheel nuts and all the other silly stuff on there. So I think, in conclusion, the Ferrari California T has come of age. This is a car to consider. Yes, you're not going to find it at track days and things like that, but if you want to have a taste of Ferrari and you want to have it usable, this is a pretty good bet, especially with a 7-year warranty scheme that Ferrari in the UK offer you. So there you are. Sea change for California T from where it was in 2008. I actually give it about 4 stars, because the only thing I'd knock it down to say is the price. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming along very soon.